sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances, not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap. All in one. All for you. Tap in. Zap in.
It's Tuesday, the 13th of January 2026, and you're with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. It's almost 10:15. Normally you would hear him just after 9 o'clock or thereabouts. But Dr. Ceesay is the guest for the next, how much time do you have, by the way? Good morning.
I'm all yours today.
You're all mine today?
Yes.
Okay, we'll be here till midnight. All right, welcome back. Let's start with the updates. What's the latest from your end?
Well, good morning, Peter, and good morning to all the listeners. The first update is from the presidency, informing the public that His Excellency President Adama Barrow had embarked on an inspection tour of key development projects across the Kanifing municipality, but also the West Coast region. This reaffirms the government's commitment to infrastructure-led progress. The inspection covered major road projects, including the Senegambia, Bijilo, Sukuta, Tabokoto roads, Abuko Welingara, Kunkujanketea roads, Olyundum, Tauto, Jabang Yuna, Jiboro, Duwasu, Som, Farabasutu, and Gunjur Jambanjeli roads. Now, these projects form part of the 365-kilometer OIC roads initiative designed to ease mobility, enhance trade, and improve livelihoods. Now, at Banjul Port, where the President also visited, he reviewed progress on the Al Port's management, noting the new terminal with 1,200 container capacity and upgraded water control systems. The President emphasized his guiding principle: no infrastructure, no development, underscoring the centrality of infrastructure in driving the Gambia's transformation. The second update is from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad, that on the 6th of January 2026, the Gambia and the People's Republic of China signed a grant assistance agreement worth 100 million yuan, approximately $14.5 million. The grant will support small but smart projects aligned with national priorities.
That's a nice one. Small but smart.
Small but smart projects aligned with national priorities, contributing to socio-economic development and improved livelihoods. Foreign Minister Serigne Modou Ndiaye expressed appreciation to China for its steadfast support, noting cooperation in infrastructure, health, agriculture, and humanitarian assistance. The Gambia reaffirmed its commitment to One China principle, supporting China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Ambassador Liu Yin emphasized China's dedication to South-South cooperation and people-centered development initiatives. It would perhaps interest the Gambians to know that 2025 alone, over 1,000 Gambians visited China as part of China's people-to-people exchange. And Xi Jinping, China's premier, has said that 2026 is the year of people-to-people exchange, so we'll see more Gambians visiting China in 2026 to learn from not only China's experience, but also understand China's development trajectory as well. Now, the Reparations Commission, which was sworn in recently and established as part of the recommendation of the TRRC, has officially begun reparations payments for victims of human rights violations committed between 1994 and 2017. Payments will be issued in phases, beginning with victims from 1994. Victims are encouraged to update their details and complete registration to ensure timely processing. The Commission remains committed to a transparent, fair, and victim-centered reparations process. Now, other news, obviously, the NPP, National People's Party, secured victories in the Kayaf and Bantanjang ward by-elections, signaling strong momentum ahead of the 2026 elections.
Bantanjang was very close.
Yeah, but that's politics. That's politics.
At first I heard the difference was just one vote.
Yeah,
now
I heard about
hear
5. That's what I'm yet to get the official figures from the Independent Electoral Commission. But the elections are lost and won. One has to lose, one has to win. And I listened to my brother's analysis yesterday, which perhaps, by the way, did not make any sense to me, saying that the opposition has won because if you cumulatively put their votes together, they have more votes, popular votes, than the NPP.
But that's a fact, isn't it?
Yeah, but they didn't win. The opposition is an opposition.
Yeah,
it's a fragmented opposition.
Because of the system we have.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Elections all over the world, there's a winner, there's a loser. In this case, the NPP is the winner.
They accept that. They even congratulated you. The UDP congratulated the NPP.
But the congratulation is half-hearted, because if they congratulate the NPP... Yeah, but I'm coming. I listened to Mr. Sane yesterday, and he said that the elections were marred by intimidation, saying that the NPP were intimidating Alcalos. In fact, he's saying that...
No, not the NPP, the government.
No, but the NPP contested the election. The government cannot... It's the NPP that contested the elections. If you say the government, he is accusing, and this is a very serious statement, saying that the Alcalos were intimidated and voters were intimidated. In fact, saying that is why most voters didn't come out to vote. I haven't got the official figures yet. I've been running after it since morning to show that it's not a low voter turnout. A low voter turnout is not what happened in these elections. He himself acknowledged there was about 70%. I cannot confirm that figure. Voter turnout, that's a high voter turnout by all standards. So if he, and this is the problem with the UDP, they never accept when they lose elections. Since time immemorial, since Diamond.
No.
They've always maintained that
in this,
they never lost
in
elections.
this case, they have accepted. They've congratulated the win.
But if you congratulate me, then don't come and say I won because I intimidated.
Oh, no. There's nothing wrong with giving the reasons why you won. No, but yes, I will congratulate you. But there's nothing wrong with citing why you won. No. I could say you were a stronger competitor.
But say that. But don't say we intimidated people not to come out and vote. He's now blaming the loss to the fact that, according to him...
But was an Alcalo not removed prior to the election?
It's got nothing to do with the elections.
No. Answer the question first. No, was an Alcalo not removed prior to the election?
And reinstated, but it has nothing to do with the elections. It's got nothing to do with the elections.
So an Alcalo was removed?
At some point, but reinstated. But what I can tell you also, it has nothing to do with the elections. The NPP won these seats because of President Barrow's popularity, but also because of the transformation has brought to Gambian people. And these elections is an indication of what will happen, in fact more, in 2026. Now, for me, you cannot, as a party, write and congratulate your opponent, then turn around and say they won because of they used tactics that were outside of the framework of electoral laws, which is
underhand tactics,
which is intimidation, saying that the state were using state resources to campaign. There is no evidence as to that.
The power of incumbency.
Yeah, but that is normal in any politics. But like I said, he maintained that the Lawyer Dabo never used this. I saw Lawyer Dabo come from Badibu, India, at the heydays of the coalition, from a rally he was using. Then he was Foreign Affairs Minister, he was using official vehicle. Because I had a fracas with the UDP at that time at the Barra Ferry crossing point. He was using the official vehicle, as Minister of Foreign Affairs. So telling me that the UDP will not
abuse state resources.
No, I mean the UDP they're just saying that. But I know that UDP will not change anything when they come to power. But just to come back to that, elections were lost and won. The NPP won both elections in areas that are very difficult terrain to win elections, particularly for the NPP, and they won. And this indicates that the NPP is on course to a major victory in 2026. In fact, I've been perusing online this morning. Even people who are strongly opposed to the president are now accepting that he has brought so much infrastructural development to this country. And now what they are citing as the only weakness of this government is the case of accountability. But there is consensus across the board among all political parties, even in the opposition, that the president has delivered massive infrastructural development across all sectors, from energy to roads to water to transportation, you name it. And now they claim that perhaps the only weakness is accountability. But what we've done to promote accountability and transparency, no government has ever done. So if that is the case, then I think this government, even opposition, don't be surprised if they vote for the president for 2026.
So you feel that 2026 is a foregone conclusion? Barrow will
if there was another term I could use apart from foregone conclusion, I would like to use that term. But the elections is already lost and won.
Yeah, but analysts are also saying that, you know, the NPP and all the other parties like your CA that support, you know, the ruling party should not be fooled by Bantanjang and Kaya.
No, we are not fooled. We are looking. We look at the figures.
Because Gambian voters generally don't take, you know, local council elections any serious. So.
No, but they take it. That is why it's a local elections. The people in that locality came out to vote in large numbers to vote for the councillor they want to steer their affairs. So, like I said, it's an indication.
They came out, but elections throughout history have shown that there is a bigger participation in the presidential than you have in the National Assembly or parliamentary, and
but
even less.
But that's normal. Less. That happens everywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
World.
So don't be fooled. You know, this is not to be used as a yardstick to start judging what might happen in 2026.
Yeah, but the same analysts who are making these statements are the same analysts who made the prognosis after the Masembe lost to the NPP that President Barrow is going to lose because they lost in Masembe. These are the same analysts. And I think for me, analysts...
So the tables have been turned there.
Exactly. And also even after the local government elections, when NPP lost some key strategic cities like KM and Banjul, they were the same analysts who are saying that this loss indicates that President Barrow will be having troubles to win 2026. So for me, those analyses are just... people can make their analysis, but it doesn't reflect reality on the ground. Let me
announce early on that today we will take questions from the audience for Dr. Ceesay. We haven't done that in a while because usually, you know, these past weeks he always comes with a lot of issues, but he says...
So I have only 3 more updates.
Oh, okay. I thought that...
The second one has to do with the fact that the Gambia now, the Gambia's first multi-purpose agro-industrial hub is nearing completion, featuring 14 modern manufacturing units designed to reduce imports, strengthen agro-processing, and create jobs. Now, the other one has to do with the Spanish labor migration, which had encountered difficulties at the initial stages. The program is continuing under Gambian leadership with renewed discussions and
What do you mean under Gambian leadership? What about the first one was not under Gambian
leadership? It was, but mostly the interviews, the decisions were mostly made by Spanish authorities working with the Gambian authorities.
So now Gambians will make
we are going to come up with a new strategy to ensure that now Gambian workers go abroad to work in Spain under very good conditions as it used to be.
Where are the 33 who disappeared in Spain? Have they been found?
No. They disappeared in thin air.
How come Spain would still want to continue with this? What if you if you send 65 and all 65 disappear again?
No, I mean, other countries in West Africa initially also had the same issue, and they had to try again, and now it's successful. So it doesn't mean that your first shot, if it's unsuccessful, you have to give up. You have to try again, learn from previous mistakes, and make sure you strengthen the procedures so that people don't disappear.
Okay. It's a new minister. What should change this time around, do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't know the details, but I know that the new minister will make sure that they put systems in place to give more incentives to those beneficiaries so they stay, so they see no advantage in disappearing.
Okay.
Now the final one has to do with, this is good news, Business Insider Africa has ranked the Gambia as the 4th safest country for travelers.
Oh, okay.
Reinforcing the nation's growing reputation as a secure and attractive destination for tourism and investment.
Was it not the same position last year again?
Yeah, last year, yeah. So we maintain our position. It shows, I mean, only 4 countries ahead of us, which are, I think, if I get it
3
right,
or 4, if we're number 4.
Mauritius is ahead of us, Botswana is ahead of us, and Namibia.
Okay, so 3
So
countries ahead of us.
we're number 4.
How can we catch up to number 3 before you even start talking about number 2 and number
Well,
1?
is to continue the path to ensure that tourists or travelers that come to the Gambia are safer. We are currently in the West African region. Gambia is one of the safest countries, because if you look at Mauritius, it's not in West Africa. So if you look at West African context, I think we might even be number 1, because if Namibia is out of West Africa, Botswana is in I think in Southern Africa. Mauritius is an island off the coast of on the Indian Ocean. So it means that in West Africa, Gambia is number 1 by and large. So I think now what we are working towards is for continental dominance, and we'll redouble our efforts to ensure Gambia is more secure and we have that reputation, so we come number 1 next year.
Fantastic. All right, Dr. Ceesay is with us. As I say, we'll take your questions for him. Ibrahim Abaji, first off this morning. Honorable Minister, can your government consider the plight of the average Gambian who is trying hard to earn a living by harnessing the precious resource of our sea and end all foreign fishing agents, including Chinese and Senegalese, from our sea? Gambia has a short coastline, and fish plays an important role on our dinner plates. Kindly hear the cries of your fellow average Gambians who are finding it hard to put one of the most protein booster fish on their dinner plates. Please, Ibrahim Abaji. I think he's responding to our top story today about irregular fishing, illegal fishing in our water. So how do you respond to Ibrahim Abaji?
Well, I think as a government, our focus and our priority is to ensure we give every Gambian the opportunity to live a dignified life, and that is to protect Gambians' interest. Yes, clearly there are challenges in policing our maritime space. I think the Navy is doing a fantastic job in doing that. But like I said, sometimes if there is encroachment, because there are clearly 2 things here. There are licensed trawlers that are licensed to operate within our EEZ. Now, those ones, they are licensed and they are regulated by a very strong regulation under the Ministry of Fisheries. And they have to follow those regulations as per their license. And any violations will lead to revocation of their license. And a lot of work has been done not only to police our EEZ, but also to ensure that there is compliance with those license conditions. Now, when it comes to those that encroach, remember the line between the high seas, where it's no man's territory, and our EEZ can be a bit blurred. And sometimes it's difficult to really have round-the-clock policing on our EEZ. And sometimes, I'm not saying this is the case, but sometimes some fish will encroach, and by the time our Navy comes to police, they step out again. And when they go to the high seas, except if you use the principle of hot pursuit, you have to have those resources to do that. It's difficult to police. But like I said, this is something that I hope the Minister of Fisheries is listening, that they can take note and make sure that come with stringent measures to ensure that our EEZ is protected, and that those who have been given license to operate in our EEZ as deadly fishing trawlers should operate within the framework of the laws and comply to the licensing obligations, but also they protect local fishermen.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. I'm reaching out from Pennsylvania, USA. Due to the significant time difference, I'm unable to tune in live, but I follow your program segments keenly on YouTube. I have a question for Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. But first, I want to thank him for his commitment to keeping the Gambian people informed. He has successfully outlined a roadmap for any future information minister to follow. My question concerns the government's efforts to tackle the backway crisis through TVET centers and youth training. While this is an arguably great first step, what is the government doing to support these youths beyond the classroom? What hope is there for a carpentry graduate when over 95% of government office furniture is imported? What motivates a young construction graduate who sees that fewer than 5% of masons in their own neighborhood can break the cycle of poverty? this disconnect exists across all TVET programs. Does the Borough Administration have a concrete plan to prioritize buying locally and awarding contracts to these young graduates rather than over-relying on imports and over-contracting the established firms? Thank you, Sehu Ngalan.
So there are two things, and I thank Sehu for that very important question. Two things here, and we need to dissect these two.
Take your time.
The first one has to do with government policy. We're working on one called local content. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I know that there's something on the pipeline.
That's being proactive.
Called local content policy to ensure that procurement by government should focus more on content produced locally.
Hallelujah, that's good
news. But that
news.
also has to be reciprocated by quality. We live in a free market world. And for example, sometimes I also want to blame some of our local content producers. Let's take carpentry, for example. The carpentry guy in our street in Brikama, the kind of bed and furniture he's been making since 1986, he's still making the same kind of bed and furniture. Now, they need to also up their game as well and make sure that, because the finishing is important, people want good quality furniture. Why should anybody, in fact, go and buy these beds, these like say for example these SETI beds that they buy with the mirrors and the from Dubai, if we can have people producing locally of the same quality, of the same finesse? We would prefer to use this one. So like these things has to go in tandem. Yes, government can come up with policy to say that there should be local content embedded in our procurement process, so that all government furniture, anything that government has to procure, has to focus first on local content, except where it's not available. We can look elsewhere. But also those producing local content must also ensure that they have a quality assurance system that ensures that they produce good quality furniture and good quality products. Then these two will align, and perhaps now we can solve this issue. But as a government, we are aware, we want to promote local industries. That is why the president has in his calendar what they call the industrial tour. Going around the country, looking at local industries and how they can be supported. So, and that is why we create these skills training centers, these TVET institutions. And also we give support to those who finish these institutions to buy equipment, because you need two things to produce high quality products. You need the knowledge, but also the tools you need. And I think these are things that we support our people. We would prefer as a government for capital to stay in this country, because when it stays in this country, it rotates and it is used in this country. It boosts our economy. It promotes employment. So, yeah.
Now, I was going to say, I needed to, to talk more on these TVET centers, because it came up during the conversation with Lamin Sane yesterday. And to some, it's like, they were just set up to give the impression that they are responding to the issue of the backway syndrome. So they can say, well, oh yeah, we are teaching carpentry here, we are teaching aquaculture there, we're teaching agriculture there, and so on and so forth. So
but why would any serious government just set up and invest millions of dollars in establishing TVET centers just as a knee-jerk response to the backway phenomenon? No, it's not possible. We built these TVET centers because we came to realize after doing an assessment that there's a misalignment between what the labor market needs and what is produced by the in terms of skills. And we realize that skills is what is most needed in this country. That is why this is in response, and as part of our national development plan, that is why we are investing in these TVET centers, so young people can go and learn a skill, whether it's carpentry, whether it's mason, whatever skill you want to learn, you can learn after you finish. Government can give you a startup support to go and start your own business. We are doing this in agriculture, we are doing this in the fisheries sector, we are doing this in the technical spheres as well. But also there are those who, once they finish, they don't want to go and do what they've been. I don't have that data. We need to talk to Professor to go as to those who, what is the turnover rate? Yeah. Those who finish, what are they doing now?
What's the return on investment?
Exactly. We need
all these millions.
Exactly. But remember also, it's a recent phenomenon. We just started these investments. It's not been here before, and sometimes it will take some time to get that data. But nonetheless, what is important is that we have made a conscious policy decision to promote TVET education, so that we can be able to provide the job market what it needs. And this misalignment sometimes has been our main problem. That is, what does the job market needs? But also this job market also is very dynamic and changes very quickly. Like the job market can need accountants 2026. And because of the shortage of accountants, everybody's going to learn accounting. Before 2029, it has changed to now the job market needs economists, for example. And then we're aware of this, and we are consciously making efforts to look at the trends in the job market, both nationally and globally, to ensure that we know exactly what the job market will need in 2030, in 2035, within the context of digital innovation like AI, to make sure that we tailor our training that is available to respond to these demands of the job market. That is why we've invested in USET, because we know, like going forward, we'll need more coders, we'll need more engineers, and engineering cut across all. We need agricultural engineers, you need all types of engineers. So that is what we are doing at USET. That is why we built a brand university called USET, which is really remarkable, but also investing in specialized TVET centers, like the one we are going to build in Tuja, which specialize in aquaculture. And by the way, we've sent young Gambians abroad to learn aquaculture. So when they come, they will run these institutions and teach. It's called the TOT, Tenor of Teachers. But also we are going to build another specialized TVET center in Pachar, which focuses only on the agribusiness and its value chain. And we've sent young Gambians abroad. Currently, they are studying abroad, so when they come back, they'll be the TOTs in these specialized institutions, because we think that we have abundant water, because we are a coastal country on the Atlantic Ocean with enormous fish potentials. That is why we need to promote our aquaculture sector. We also realize that we have abundant arable land, we have abundant water, both rainwater, underground water, but also fresh River Gambia water. And agriculture is one of our
people
key...
are saying we are not using, particularly that river resource.
Yeah, but remember, we've just started putting things in place, and people don't actually see the way government works and the development works. You don't start something today and you reap the benefits in 1 year. No, sometimes it takes time, because what Gambia needs to promote its agricultural sector, we've put those systems in place. One is what they call the capacity, knowledge. That is why we are building this TVET center. We've sent people abroad to study. Okay. Two is access to finance. We have currently transformed one institution to ensure that farmers get easy loan.
Which institution? The SDF?
Not the SDF. There's another one that we just transformed into kind of a guarantee bank kind of, that ensures that farmers now can be given collateral to get loans from the bank to get access to capital. But also we are also investing in equipment.
Okay. For the Minister, I commend the Borough Administration for regularly going around to ascertain the status of ongoing government projects. This was never done by the Jammeh administration. So Borough going around and checking, road infrastructure.
Yeah, Borough infrastructure is dear to Borough's heart, and most of this, in fact, almost all of them are Barrow's brainchild, President Barrow's brainchild. He wants to know the status, what's happening. He doesn't want to get secondary information. That is why this weekend was a very, very long day for him on Saturday. He started very early, went all the way to Som Kafuta, to Fonyi, outskirts of Fonyi, and came back and went to the ports. He didn't get back to the state house until very late at night, just to know exactly what is happening with these road projects. And like I said, Barrow has said it, that one of his government has three main priorities: infrastructure, 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 because everything else hinges on infrastructure. If you don't have strong infrastructure in energy, you cannot provide stable electricity. You cannot. If you don't have strong infrastructure in education, you cannot provide access to education. Same as healthcare, roads, you name it. So the president's focus now is building infrastructure, because this is the foundation of all development.
This one almost made me laugh. Please tell Doctor, for Gambia to compete other nations in tourism, the government needs to remove the scam airport security fee paid by passengers. Yeah, apparently Gambians can never come to terms with this airport fee.
But Gambia is not the only country that is imposing the security fee. Senegal has it.
We care about the levy.
What I'm saying is that these and all the countries that have this concession, like Senegal, Sierra Leone, most of these countries, they are paying the security fee. The other thing is that these countries have it embedded in the ticket. When you buy the ticket, you pay it. But for Gambia, we're still working hard to make sure this is in the ticket. But until that happens, we have to pay at the airport. And remember, let's look at the benefit of the security fee. It makes Gambia a very safe airport. It makes Gambia an airport with credibility that the international community respects as a destination in terms of security. So it's something we pay for. It's unfortunate that we have to pay for it at the airport. We understand the inconvenience, and we don't want it, but we are working hard to make sure it is embedded in the ticket to ease people of this inconvenience.